I don't want to waste a minute or a day of time. I feel like when I have the end result, I see this vision. It's just figuring out all the in between stuff, which is also a challenge for me because I'm a visionary, but I'm not an implementer as much. Like I need help for that. So it's just finding the right people now to attract so that I can, we need that. We need to figure out like where are our weaknesses so that we can partner with the right people like you,
100%.
that we can work together and make it happen.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to my show. I'm Tiffany Alexander, and this is Unveiling Journeys. Oh, my goodness. I'm excited to have you here today. A smidge about me. I love the power of networking. I love the power of meeting some of the coolest people I've ever met in my life. And let me just tell you, when you show up to an appointment with them and you're like, you are so cool. How do I get to know more cool people just like you? They answer that question and they put you in the room with more cool people. And if you're like, I can't say that to people, just say, oh my gosh, this has been a stunning call. Who do you know that I need to know? Right? Like you can be kind about it. But my brain works fascinatingly. And I'm always thinking to myself, you're so fun. Can I get you to know people that I know? I just need you to know more people. So this show is dedicated to all the wonderful people that I've been meeting. And I just want the world to know about them. And that's it. Like I put me in a room with people so I can talk to them all. Anyway, besides all of that, wonderful, wonderful guest, a lady who I've had quite a bit of time with recently, and I need you to know her. So, Holly, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming. Tell everybody a little bit about what you're up to right now and who you are.
Oh gosh, thanks. Thanks, Tiffany. And I just want to say I love the name of your show, number one. And I love that I keep thinking we've only known each other a few weeks and I'm in shock because I feel like we just had this great connection and you've connected me to some great people and you're amazing. And I just love what you're doing. So keep it up. So, all right, about me. Well, I am I don't know if I guess I want to call myself a serial entrepreneur. I don't know. That seems so weird, but I've had 11 startup companies, not counting all the little businesses I've set my kids up in, to raise them. They're all adults now. 8 of them, by the way. So they are all still alive and well. I can't believe it. And, I worked a lot of my companies. I they were when they were kids, I did, preschool, daycare, kids clothing store. Those were like 3 of my companies and I just worked around that. And anyway, just had some great career things. I've had a couple companies for 3 companies probably for 20 years at least. And so, yeah, we're up to here now and lots of changes.
Oh my goodness. So tell me about the new company that you're in that you've invented right now and like share with people what that is. Like I
Yeah.
know it's incredible. So
Okay. I know that's such a long story and they can go look at some of my near death stuff, because that's what all this came out of was a near death experience. So I've got lots of podcasts out there about that if you are interested. But there's actually 2. So one I was told to do was a nonprofit. It's a 501c3 called Adventure Bucket Wish. And that was created out of my near death experience and did get a lot of instruction. It's been a long journey of learning the last almost 4 years, but that was one thing. The second thing was a company that I already had the idea. It was a concept. It just wasn't incorporated or anything. And I was going to partner with a company that had a billionaire backer. And I just thought it was going to be the greatest thing, since sliced bread. And I was told not to partner with them while I was in my coma experience. And so I didn't. I was also told it would take longer and it has. And we're just plugging along and, the right people are showing up. The wrong people also have shown up and we just take those setbacks for comebacks and keep on plugging along. That resilience is very important.
yeah. And then you also have a show and your own podcast. What tell everybody about it.
Yeah. So the company is called Retreat R&R and it sponsors our podcast called All Things Retreat. And really the words just say it. We are focused on specifically the niche of retreats and that can be pretty broad and it has different clients in it and customers depending on if you're doing the real estate side of things or you're doing the software side of things. That's what we do.
Oh, my brain is always like on fire. I'm like, oh, there's 4 more people I need you to know. I totally forgot about now that we just talked about that. Okay, so let's do this. I want to hear from the very beginning. Let's like do a full circle so we can like unveil your journey. Where are you from? And like what did you want to be when you were growing up?
Oh, that list is long. Not where I'm from, where what I wanted to be when I grew up. Um, 'Cause I just kept doing things, I still do. I grew up in Las Vegas, Nevada, and then I didn't move too far up the road, but I was 14, kicking and screaming. My dad took a family of 9 children to Southern Utah in a little town called New Harmony, Utah. The population was 198, and we had 11 in our family, so I don't know if that made 5% of the population or we added to it, I'm not sure, but that's where the journey started, and I've pretty much most of that time stayed in Southern Utah, back and forth to Vegas a couple different times, but yeah, I'm here. Home's here.
Nice, nice. And then when you were a kid and you were doing all these like already entrepreneurial things, what was that like? Like I always tell people, "I want to be an astronaut." I was like pressing forward and leaning into that. And then did you
Yeah.
go to school for something? Tell me more.
I've you know what? I was never loving school. I love to learn, but I didn't wanna be in a structured environment where they told me what I had to do to get the paper on the wall. So I could almost promise you I could have a doctorate degree for all the education I've had, but I took what I wanted, I learned what I wanted, because the paper didn't matter to me. What I needed to know, I learned. My favorite math class in high school was business math because it's something I actually use. I couldn't tell you the first thing about algebra or trigonometry or what a calculus. I don't care. They weren't anything that I knew I would use in my future, and business math mattered to me, and so that's what I was good at. But I always thought about being a nurse, and then in high school I wanted to be a dental hygienist, and then I just realized how much all that stuff really grossed me out and thought, "That's not what I wanna do." And for me, I've had so many different, I'd say, careers, but they were entrepreneurship careers because not because I would change my mind, but I got bored easy, number 1. Number 2, if I'm not happy, I'm not doing it. So when I got to the point that I wasn't waking up happy every day and I didn't love what I did, or I didn't love it anymore, then I would shift and I've always had 3 or 4 companies at a time. So it just I'm passionate about something and I go for it, and when I'm not, I leave it.
What was like one of the first companies that you started?
Oh, gee, let's see. Well, when I was 12, I started out my own little thing working for my dad in his office. My dad, we had money growing up, but I didn't know it. Love that my dad did that because 12 years old on up, we had to work to earn our school clothes money. So he gave me a job in his office, and I remember looking at the wall, and the legal paper up there said minimum wage, and it was $3.33, and he was paying me $2.50. So that was the first discussion of my sticking up for myself saying, wait a minute, and then he kind of gave me a talking to and said, you're also child labor and 12-year-olds don't get jobs. And you're lucky you have one kind of thing, joking. But that was, I started there. And then of course I always had babysitting. I always had lots of jobs in that. But as an adult, probably my daycare. I started when I got married young. I was 18 and of course started having kids right away. I do live in Utah, and that started I just thought, how do you make an income and not have to spend it all on the babysitter? So be the babysitter, even though I only made people will die hearing this. I charged $1.25 an hour or $50 for the whole week per kid. Nothing.
Do you want to open a daycare again? Move to
Right?
California?
I just think, how did I survive? But I was making pretty good money. There was a food program I belonged to, so I could feed the kids really good. But I did that like 12-hour days. They were long,
Yeah.
but it worked. It worked until it didn't, and then I had a preschool at a different time. I had a children's clothing store at a different time. So I just felt like as the kids grew, I always needed to supplement somehow. And in between that, I was single parent for a couple times and driving 100 miles a day back and forth with 4 kids, one of them screaming the whole way back and forth 50 miles both ways. And they were long days. You make it work. You just
Yeah.
do what you can to survive.
Yeah. And like some of the unveiling of your journey are like the thought processes closing one company, opening the next company, or opening the next company simultaneously in your case to move to the next one. Like, what were some of those moments that you were having with yourself where you're like, I've got this idea. I want to open another one. Like, take me back to some of those times.
Yeah. So for me, like real estate, when I lived in Las Vegas, one of the times when I was married and lived there as an adult, I went through the whole Nevada real estate classes and I wanted to do that. And who I was married to at the time, I realized after I got all the way through it, 2 things. One thing, there was a rapist out there, and he was going after women who sold real estate and getting them to show them homes and then raping them. So there was that that made me a little nervous. And then my ex-husband, he just wasn't the type that I felt like I could leave, and he would take care of the kids and he would not question everything and everyone I was with and, everything else, just a very jealous person. So it just didn't feel right. And so I ended up not doing it. And then later, after I had my salon open years later, I went back and got my Utah real estate license. And then about 3.5 years later, I got my broker's license because I had this big salon in town. It was like 3,000 square feet, and I could have my real estate office inside of that. So we had at
Yeah.
one time, I think 8, counting mine and my kids' business licenses, we had 8 of them coming to that location, and it was fun. I mean, they were fun times. We had 20 people working in the salon. People were coming in, to do real estate. They were coming to visit. We added, like, shoes and purses and makeup to it because it was a 3,000 square foot place,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it just was I enjoyed that. It was, like, a lot of energy. At the same time that was going on, I'm very into service work and philanthropy, and I was, president of Rotary Club. I was over 1,400 soccer kids. I was running for city council, and also I ran for mayor a couple years after that. We were doing these service projects. I was women in business president, and I was downtown retail alliance president, and a lot of those overlap where I had 2 or 3 positions and 2 or 3 companies, and I was raising, 8 kids. So we had a whole house full of teenagers and all those challenges. And I look back and I just think, I was happy, like, but with my kids, the biggest lesson was I really wasn't present. Like, I
Mm.
might have been on the soccer field, but I'm on the phone doing a real estate deal. So
Yeah.
I'm at the game, but was I really part of the game? Was I present? Yeah, I did yell while I was on my phone, to, you know, "Yeah, get that goal in,"
Yeah.
whatever, but I look back, and if I could have changed some of that, that mattered to me, and I feel like under the circumstances I was in, I did the best I could with the knowledge I had.
Yeah. 100%. Now, going into like a couple of the last iterations of your company, this leads into the story of you. Like what has most recently transpired that got you to revolutionize this new business venture? What led up to that day and like what happened?
Well, there was a lot of things that led up to the idea of Retreat R&R. I was always like most of my companies, I felt like not most, some of them I felt like I was 2 years ahead of my time. Like I had a children's kit resale store. So they were like, you would buy used clothing and you'd resell it. It was very popular in Las Vegas, but then I did it in Utah, and they were a little behind the times and they didn't catch on to the concept. The company, however, paid for itself from day one. It just didn't make a lot of money, but the fact that I didn't lose money helped as well. But I feel like that pattern was in my history of my companies. And then by the time it really could have been successful on a couple of them, I was over it. I had a divorce or some life change that just uprooted us, and we did something different. And so I think it's just learning to pivot. Others I sold, others I downsized until then I moved away and then I just closed. So there was different reasons and seasons for everything I did. But leading up to that, when I was in the hospital with this near death experience, it was almost 4 years ago. So it was the fall of 21, and I got COVID like everybody else. Everybody suffered some way, but I was a really healthy person. So it was really interesting that I ended up going to a conference and I got the Delta version, and I was in the hospital for 70 days. That's 70, and I was intubated twice, had a trachea, had sepsis and other life-threatening things, and for about 30 days of that 70, it was touch and go every day, like, no one thought I was gonna make it, including myself. There was many days I prayed I woulda died because
Mm,
when you lose your breath, that's everything.
yeah.
I never suffered from anxiety, so I didn't know what that felt like. I didn't have that kinda trauma, and when your body's fighting for its life every day, that was a huge shift for me. One day, just to put it in perspective, not one day, but at one time, I had all 5 senses gone. So they tie your hands to the bed when you are on a ventilator so you don't pull it out. So I couldn't touch anything. My taste and smell were gone from COVID. I'm legally blind naturally, so without correction, I can't see who anyone is unless they're 8 inches in front of my face, and then they were wearing all their the head, the mask, the gown, and they were all yellow, so I could see eyes basically, and then the ventilator took 90% of my hearing away, so it sounded like the Charlie Brown, if you're old enough to remember, the school teacher,
Yeah.
"Wah, wah, wah." That's what everybody sounded like. So the fact that a lot of that 30 days I was in a coma to me was a gift because
Right?
went to some really cool places and my experiences, and I didn't have to, like, physically feel like I was suffering.
Yeah, yeah.
It was scary.
And inside of those moments that you were having, you had just like this revolutionary thing that happened because you were pressing forward with some businesses. What happened with that?
Yeah, it's so weird I still find random stuff in those years in my email that I I mean, just there's so many texts that I never saw because I couldn't even lift my phone. Like, I didn't have the energy to even lift my phone. But I cared about 2 things. I cared about my glasses and I cared where my phone was, they said, the whole time.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I could
I
see, I could see.
yeah, it was just like your personality is there regardless, whether you're there or not. You have a personality and you do crazy things. Anyway, now I forgot what you asked me as the question. Sorry.
Just like whenever you had a visit, you like had this revolutionary you what happened in that moment in the hospital? You're like, don't do it. Like, tell me that part.
Yeah. So there's many experiences. There's a whole bunch of out of body. Then I had a specifically spiritual experience where my mom, just the gist, my mom visited me and told me it wasn't my time to die and I needed to go back and fight. But then I got surrounded with all these ancestors that have died, came to me, and they're above my bed. So that's why I knew it wasn't a near death. It was a spiritual experience. And I had thousands of people show up that I saw that I didn't even know that I was just on all these prayer lists all over the world with friends of friends of friends. And I saw them all chanting, "Fight, fight, fight." And it was like that defining moment when I knew I would live. It wasn't easy. I knew it wouldn't be, but like I was just like praying at that time, look, to God, if you're not going to get me better, then get me out of here because this sucks. And I was just like, that's my personality. It's either this or this. Let's figure this out because I'm done fighting. And then I'm told to fight. So there was that experience, and I know it's super spiritual, and I'm usually crying when I say it, but that was it, the gist. But the near death was a little longer, and to sum that up, I ended up in the place I ended up in the journey is in a stadium is what I call it, and it was just filled with the brightest lights you'd ever could imagine. And that was I was in such awe because I don't think I really realized where I was. There was some of that. I'm looking around and everybody's in these brightest clothes. I was shocked I could see people because there was so much light and so much like power, and you could feel every emotion so strong, stronger than anywhere ever that I've felt. But I also looked down, I mean, because there's thousands and thousands of people, and I looked down and I could see bare feet. And so nobody was sitting. They were in the stadium. They were floating, I guess is what I would say. And everything, every conversation, everything that was being done around me was just like just light speed. Like nobody's talking, so it was telepathically, and like you would think, answer. I mean, just like whoa, the knowledge was just like everything you could know instantly. And then this big concert is what I called it. I'm sure it wasn't, but all four, ways that I could look and turn, there was music coming. And then the most angelic like voices started singing. And I didn't know any of the songs, but I knew the words to every song. So it was like,
Weird.
or not, not that I didn't know them. I had never heard them, but I knew them. Does that
Hmm.
make sense?
Yeah.
So I love to sing. So I'm singing and I'm having the best time ever, but then I go to the near death experience and I only end up seeing good. There's lots of bad, trust me. But I think I had just come out of 2 years. This is 2 years after I got out of the hospital. Um, I no, sorry. I'm skipping because I'll tell you why in a second. Okay, so I'm getting the life review, and then that's where I was told to start the nonprofit, and I was given the name without a lot more instruction, and I was told not to partner with this company, which I was pretty bummed about. And then I was just sent back. Like I wasn't asked, to have a choice. Do you want to go back? No, I was just boom sent back. And when I came back, and I'm in my body, my sister's with me. They were with me because my husband had COVID and was home and couldn't come for like 3.5 weeks. And I had an alphabet. I would spell out words. That's how I communicated because I had the ventilator on and I couldn't talk. And I spelled out kidnap. And she said, when I realized you were spelling kidnap, and it she was like, "I wanted to throw up," because I was like, "What happened?" "I ran an errand because you were doing better." "I ran an errand, I came and what happened?" She says, "Just as soon as you got that out and I understood what you were trying to say to me, sometimes it took 2 hours to get one word out on pointing because I had no energy. It was slow. The processing was hard. Yeah, and I sometimes I would just forget it because I was so frustrated, you know? And the doctor and the nurse walked in to extubate me and take the tubes out when she just figured that out. So she didn't get an answer right away. So she's scrambling with this. There's spirits in the room, and she's like I figured out quickly nobody could see them but me, but I was obviously having a lot of anxiety. I mean, if I felt like and thought I got kidnapped and there's spirits in my room, I'm thinking something else is gonna happen, and she's after they leave, she's, like, opening the bathroom door and the closet door and the drawers, like, "No one's in here, no one's in here," and whatever. They were. And so, I sat uneasy with that, and then I'll tell you, so fast forward 2 years, I the 2 years was the worst 2 years of my whole life. Like, if you
Mhm.
take every bad moment, every bad day, every bad year, times 100 was what the pain I went through in that 2 years after. You would think you just got back from this heavenly place and everybody would gravitate towards you because you almost died. And some did, don't get me wrong, and my husband was great and a couple siblings, but it was like I repelled people. It was the weirdest thing, and there were so many lessons in that that I'm learning still and learning about now. But when you're in it and you're in hard times, like, it's awful. I prayed I woulda died every day. I was like, "Why would you save me to put me through this hell? I don't understand."
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
Why didn't you just let me die? It was awful. And so I just come out of that and I decided for my healing and because there were those gaps and because I still felt, why did I think I was kidnapped? I asked a friend of mine to do a hypnosis session. He did. And that's where I got like answers like more will be revealed to you when the time is right, about people, love them where they're at, about my near death, the only seeing the good.
Yeah.
God said, because that this is what matters. And I thought, wow, if we all could go forward in our lives and choose that and think we can treat people like that, because if God sees us for the good that we do, why can't we do more good?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, that's like a throw up version real quick, but
I know it so much. And then coming out of this, deciding to open your company and the vision for this company, right? You're given kind of a bare bones, like, all right, here you go, here's the name, go ahead. Like this. But was this a dream that you already previously had a vision to start a company like this, that or at least for the charity?
for the I always wanted one, but I could get it behind tons of good causes because I was always involved in service work, but I just always felt like there was something there. So to be given the name, and there's a whole story behind the name and how that evolved over the last, 3 years too. That's a longer story than we have today. Lots of stories behind a lot of this, but the other company, the retreat company, in that hypnosis session, I was also shown a tree, and I felt like that was another God gift for me because the logo we created in, the Retreat R&R ended up coming back. I told them it needed to be a tree. I didn't know why. So here 2 years later, I see it in this hypnosis session. I'm like, and it was like God saying, "You created that without even remembering it was part of your near death." And the tree had 11 leaves and 11 roots, which is 1, 1, 1, 1. And my book launch day is 1, 1, 1, 1. I got out of the hospital 1, 1, 1, 1, and my birthday's 1, 1. So like there was just so many things that were happening around this that you couldn't deny.
Yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Goodness, I love this so much. Some of the favorite parts that I like to get to with people is like, okay, you're doing your company right now and your podcast and you're doing a couple other little things. Like, why why do you keep showing up? Why do you keep trying so hard?
Well, when you almost die and you're saved, dang, I don't want to waste a breath. I don't want to waste a minute or a day of time. I feel like when I have the end result, I see this vision, it's just figuring out all the in between stuff, which is also a challenge for me because I'm a visionary, but I'm not an implementer as much. Like I need help for that. So it's just finding the right people now to attract so that I can, we need that. We need to figure out like where are our weaknesses so that we can partner with the right people like you,
100%.
that we can work together and make it happen.
Yeah, like stay in your genius zone by all means. So you can be I love being the visionary of stuff for other people because I can just backboard and walk away and then you go figure out the
Yeah.
implementation.
The best lesson I think I learned was I don't have to know how to do everything. I just need to know who can. Who knows
Right.
the how? I don't have to know how, and that's been a huge lesson to learn.
Oh, that's incredible. All right. At this point, some people are thinking, I want to know more about this. I want to know about you. I want to spend time with you. Where do you want people to come find you?
Sure. Hollyporter.com is my personal website. You can check that out. We have so much of the Retreat R&R under construction that we'll just bypass that right now. But you can go listen to the podcast at All Things Retreat on all your favorite podcast shows, YouTube included. And I'm on social media, some more than others, but it's just under my name, Holly Porter.
I love it so much. All right. And guys, it's in all the show notes. And if you can't find her, just send me a message. I'll get you with her. But on top of that, what do you have on the horizon? What do you want to announce or let everybody know about?
Okay, so I've struggled really hard with this book, the new book and the name, and it's so weird because I usually can figure out things really quickly. But all right, here it is. I pretty sure this is it. I'm just like, it's called Near Death Shift: What Dying Taught Me About Life, Business, and Purpose. And that's what's coming up. And I'm excited because it's a spiritual book that I've never done before, even though I've have lots of books. And it's also a personal development book of the 8 lessons that I learned about all of this and how I'm implementing them.
Yeah. Oh man, that's cool. I just had this thing. I was like, gosh, I have so much good advice I've gotten from so many other people. If I just compiled that, I bet I have my own darn book that I could
You
go and be like,
should.
do you need some words of wisdom? Like, this isn't Proverbs, but like, let me just tell you what I've heard from some of these cool people.
There's a
Oh,
lot of
how
cool
fun.
people with some great, great advice.
Oh,
Yeah, you
just the
bet.
wisdom, right?
Yes.
Nan, this has been so fun. Okay, this is the last question I want to ask you so we can end with this. What is your like what do you want to leave with people? Your nuggets, your words of wisdom for everyone to wrap up our show.
Okay. I feel like I say this one a lot, but it really means so much to me, is really that message to love them where they're at, because it takes that judgment away of what we think of people. They know what they know. They are who they are. And it's not our place to judge people. And so even if they're really, really bad people and we feel that hatred and dislike towards them, just remember that message. Hey, what would it look like if I just love them where they're at? And it should remove a lot of that energy and the negativity around that. Bring in
Oh
some
my
peace.
gosh. I love that so much. You're just spitting words of wisdom. Guys, thank you so much for staying for the whole show. I want you to go right now and go follow Holly on all the social media that we have in all the links below. Go check out her website and her podcast because she's launching more episodes constantly with that. And thank you for staying till the end. And thank you so much, Holly, for your time today.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, everybody. See you on the next episode. Bye.